What's up, y'all? Sean here. So we're going old school today. I have got the DJI Spark. And you might ask yourself, why do I have the DJI Spark? Well, we're gonna do some scouting for a Dronelink mission. And I wanna use kind of an expendable drone that is solid, that has really good build quality. So if I accidentally hit something or I crash, I'm not out a lot of money with my more expensive drones. So as you can see from the background, we've flown this ballpark before with several drones, but whenever you're flying autonomously with a mission control, you need to kind of understand all of your surroundings ahead of time, okay? So that's what we're gonna do today. You can see there's poles, there's big light poles, and I don't know if you can see it, but there's wires going through. So there's a large electrical system going straight through the middle of the park. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna take off from a nice open spot, but we're gonna check out, we're basically gonna measure everything on this ballpark. I'm not worried about the low points as much as the high points. I really don't want to just run into anything, okay? So stay tuned after the logo and we'll get into it, guys. Let's go. All right, y'all, here we go. So I spent about 7% of the battery getting it all ready to go, but it's been a while since I've flown a Spark. So I've got it not in sport mode. So there's that. And my phone doesn't fit in the controller very well. So that's a bit awkward, but we're gonna try to fly it anyway. So yeah, I'm gonna get myself reacclimated with the screen. So we've got video to photo, so that's good. We've got everything auto. I'm just gonna run it on auto today. I don't really care about any of that. So intelligent flight mode terms for the geo zones. When you're in intelligent flight mode near a geo zone, your aircraft may fly along the border of the zone or hover. Okay. So we've got tripod mode, quick shots, active track. All right. I think we're good to go, y'all. Let's look on the map to see where we are. So we're going to start off right there. So I'm making a recording of this video, so I'll be able to know once I get in the studio kind of where things are. So here we go. We're taking off. Cross your fingers, y'all.
Take off. The home point has been updated. Please check it on the map.
Flying nice and smooth. Oh, it's drifting. It's going up and down. That's all right. All right, so the first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna go over by the pole. And it looks like I'm above the wires there. So we're gonna fly over to that pole and hope we don't hit it. I don't have it in sport mode, so we'll see how things go. This might take a while, y'all, but that's okay. So from the takeoff point, we are 75 feet up in the air. And from what I'm looking at, we're not even close to the pole. I know it looks pretty close in the video, but if you can see the other side of the pole, then you're on top of it. So we're gonna look at, oh yeah, we're gonna look at it right there. All right, and I'm gonna bring it up. So 80 feet, we're gonna bring the camera down a little bit. 80 feet's good, but we saw that it was drifting a little bit. So we wanna account for that drift. And you can even see right here, it's going up and down, right? So I think we're gonna pull it up to 90 feet. And that'll give us at least 15 to 20 feet of clearance. And then we're gonna fly over it. Now it's not the best idea to fly around wires because there's like interference. But looking at my gauges, I got 14 satellites. I've got 4 bars of 5G, so we're still pretty good. All right, so now what I'm gonna do is we are going to check these posts, these light poles. Oh, I turned the camera the wrong way. The next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna scout these light poles. So we've realized that 90 feet up in the air is so far a safe height. So I'm gonna fly kind of across the ballpark. We can point down a little bit. We're gonna fly across the ballpark and make sure we don't hit any of these poles. And I've moved from my takeoff point over to kind of where I want to fly from. It's kind of the center of the campus, and that way I won't lose connection through the whole Dronelink mission. I'm not going to go off of this property at all. I'm not going to drive over any roads that might have vehicles on them. The only possible hazard that I will fly over is the playground for about 10 seconds that might have kids on it. But if the park is full of people, I'm not gonna do this mission anyway. I'd rather do the mission when it's not full, the parking lot's not full of cars, and the playground's full of kids. So that's about as far as I'm gonna go. It looks like we're really good there with that pole. So I'm just gonna fly over towards me. There's the beautiful Renegade. Yeah! I don't even see me on the screen, but yeah, we're gonna just fly a horizontal flight over there. Nothing crazy, nothing left or right. As far as line of sight goes, I can still see the drone. It's a little black dot in the sky, but I can still see it. So line of sight is still all kosher. One thing you want to keep in mind when you're doing these autonomous flights is to keep line of sight and keep obeying the rules. There are some flights that I've flown off in the woods that I've lost line of sight for like 30 seconds. But never lost control of the drone and wasn't flying over anything that would hurt anybody. So just use your best judgment when it comes to that. So we're coming near the wires, and I'm in line of sight, but I'm not at a good line of sight to see whether or not I'm going to clear those wires, but I am. Yeah, and it looks like we're doing good, y'all. Got about 17 minutes left on the battery. That's nice. Or no, 7 minutes left. So one thing I forgot about flying the DJI Spark is the flight time. I think I can get about 15 minutes if I'm good. So yeah. All right, so looks like we've gone down to 92 feet. So I think 100 feet would be a safe distance for a safe altitude for this entire campus. And that's usually where I fly anyway. I usually start at 100 and go in between 100 and 200. I very rarely ever go up to 400 just because I like to see my subject. All right, so now we are going near the wires again. So I'm gonna stop here and I'm gonna turn and I'm gonna look at that pole. And I don't even see it. So there's the wires. I'm drifting a little bit. Okay, there's the pole. All right, so this is the only other tall pole that I need to worry about on this campus. There's basically 2 connection points for this wire. So we're gonna fly over it. Oh, we went up a little bit. Fly across that wire. We're good there. All right, yeah, I think we're good. I'm gonna bring it up because this is a very interesting video. All right, we got about 5 minutes left on the battery, so I'm gonna fly around the ballpark. Beautiful shot of the ballpark, and I know that I'm high enough that I'm not gonna hit anything. So I don't have to manage my drone all the time. I can look at the shot that I'm taking, still glance up for line of sight and look to see where it's at, but that's a beautiful shot of the park. And I think this is a shot that I'm going to incorporate into my flight plan. One of the other things that you want to do whenever you're doing a flight plan is you want to account for follow through. So even though I'm just going to fly in the video, I'm just going to show the park, but I want to show the end of the park. So checking my instruments, everything is still good. I'm literally under the wires and my all my instruments are good. I can still see the drone. So we're gonna fly past the park into the woods, and then I'm gonna come back around for a reveal. But we're high enough that I'm not gonna hit anything. We've got a nice tripod type view. It looks like we are getting close to the return to home. So I think what I'm gonna do is I've followed through, and now I'm gonna fly back around. I look pretty close to those trees, so we might go a little higher. So I'm gonna move around and kind of just point at the car. Y'all, I have missed the DJI Spark. I'm telling you, this is a wonderful little drone. It's so cute. It's solid. Oh, return to home is coming up. I think I'm gonna get it into sport mode and get her back to me. Oh my gosh, I forgot how fast it is. Y'all, I don't care who you are, the DJI Spark is a freaking beast. All right, now I'm gonna concentrate so I don't do something stupid. I'm looking right into the sun, which is not the best. But I'm just gonna land it where it's at because I don't want to return to home right now.
Battery level is low. The aircraft will go to the home point in 10 seconds. Landing.
All right. Yeah, I just didn't want to deal with return to home right there, y'all, because I was doing a lot. Y'all, after all these years, it's still a cute little guy. I mean, you gotta admit, I think this is probably the best beginner drone that DJI ever built. I'm not sure why they went the mini foldable cheap thin plastic route as opposed to this, because this thing, it's like a brick, and I've crashed so many of these. This is my 4th Spark, and the reason I bought this last week is because this is still my favorite beginner drone ever. It really is. I know the DJI the DJI Mini 2 can shoot in 4K, and You know, the Mini can do 2.7K, but this guy only in 1080p. Now the video quality is not amazing, but if you're teaching someone like my son, he just turned 13, so I'm gonna be teaching him how to fly drones, and this is what we're gonna teach him on, because it's solid. You can go fast, but you can also do precise things with this as well. And it helps fighting wind, learning how to, you know, deal with windy situations and stuff like that. So that's why we got the Spark. So now that we've scouted this area with the Spark, I know how far I can fly, I know how high I can fly, I know how low I can fly. Now we're gonna go back in the studio and we are going to create a Dronelink mission specifically for the DJI Spark. And then on the next video, we're gonna fly it. So let's go into the studio. All right, y'all, so we're here in Dronelink. I've created a mission called Ballpark, and I'm gonna run through the components that I've added. I spent a little while putting this together, but this video is getting pretty long, so I'll do a Dronelink tutorial in another video. But I just wanted to run through here. So I have added several components to here. So I have Drone Smart Return to Home. So I want to make sure that it returns to home, you know, if it gets in trouble. I want to enable the fail-safe so that if it loses connection, that it returns to home. I always want my drone to come back to me. There's an option in here to make it hover, and there's even an option to make it land, but I don't really want it to land somewhere that I'm not comfortable with it landing. Like let's say you're over some trees or in the woods or something like that, or over people, which I would never want to do. I always want to control the landing myself. So if I lose connection and it hovers, then I can just walk a little bit closer to the drone and I'll probably get connection back, and then I can make it return to home. But for this scenario, I want it to automatically return to home. I don't want it to hover. I've got camera stop, so just in case the camera's going, I want to stop it. And then I want to change the camera mode to video to make sure that it's on video and not photo. Then I want to start capturing, and basically that just hits the record button. And then I have this 16 waypoint path with 4 markers, and we can run through these real quick. So we're starting here. This is the ballpark plan, so that's where takeoff is, and then we're approaching this destination, which is right in the middle of this open field at 120 foot altitude. Okay, and that's in reference to my takeoff point. And if you remember, when we scouted the property, all of my values were coming from my takeoff point. So we're going to take off in the parking lot around the same spot that we took off this morning, and we're going to go up to 120 feet. Then we've got our first marker. So if I click on that first marker, I am basically making the pitch of the drone negative 15 degrees, and that's going to point it down a little bit, so we have more of like a 2/3 ground, 1/3 sky type scenario. And then point A is basically just a coordinate. It's going to fly to this coordinate, and I've made the path a curve so that everything is generally smooth. So we're going to go from A to B. It's going to come around this curve, and it's going to go here. And then I put a marker in here to have my drone pointing at the ballpark at this point. So if you see right here, I have a point of interest marker that's pointing to the very middle of the ballpark. And that's going to be my focal point of the video. And what it's going to do is it's going to turn the drone, it's going to point in that direction, and until I give it another marker, it's going to be continuing to point in that direction. So we've got the path coming along here, and then at 3, this is a point of interest, and it's going to start pointing here to point B. And then when I get to this 4th marker, I want it to start following the path again. So it's just going to follow this path. It's going to come over here and get kind of a nice view of the mountains over here, and then it's going to turn around and kind of start pointing at the park. And so it's basically going to come around here. We're going to fly right through the middle of the park. Then we're going to fly around to here, And then we're going to stop right here at P. And then after that, we're going to do an orbit. So it's going to fly from here to here, get in position, and it's going to point 19. So if we click on the orbit, it's going to point down. You can see the radius is 347 degrees. So it's going to be a nice view of this ballpark, and we're going to orbit around it. And then once it's done with the orbit, I just have it flying back close to a position where I can safely land it. If we run through, we can generate a preview, and I can show you right here what the intention is. We're just using maps and a little bit of terraforming on the map too. So we do have depth a little bit, but I've got this going 4 times speed, so we're going to fly out in the middle of nowhere, and then we're going to come back around to reveal the ballpark. And right here, I told the drone to turn around and point at the ballpark. So we've got the entire thing in view. Then we're going to come in and fly over it. I've got the point of interest at that snack bar in the middle. So we're going to point at it, and then we're going to, once we've passed it a little bit, then we're going to whip around and look at the playground. So there we go, we're looking at the playground. These shots right here are very exaggerated because I'm going at a 4 times speed, but then we're going to look at the high school over there. We're going to view kind of the horizon, you know, just the beautiful Smyrna, Tennessee landscape. Then we're going to come over here, we're going to drive, we're going to fly right through the ballpark. So we get a little bit of the ballpark, but we also get its surroundings. Then we're going to fly over and around. Then we're going to fly over here. And then we're about to get into the orbit, I believe. Maybe not. We still got a ways to go. But overall, this is about a 13-minute flight plan. So if the battery is getting pretty low, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to pause it before we get to the orbit, bring it back home, swap out the battery, then take it back in the air. I've put a little bit of slop into this flight plan so that I can swap out the battery in the middle if I'm running out of battery. The battery might make it for 13 minutes, but I seriously doubt it. But as you can see, we're going around here. We're going to come around, kind of looking at the parking lot and the surroundings again. Then we're going to turn kind of abruptly over to get ready for the orbit. And this is the area right here that I'll probably pause it and swap it out, because I'm not as concerned about that shot right there. So we're going to get in line. We're going to do a nice, beautiful orbit of the ballpark. And what's nice about this mission right here is I can split it in half if I want to fly it with the Spark, but I can also fly the entire mission with a drone with more flight time, like the DJI Air 2. So we're going to fly around the ballpark. A nice shot, and I believe you can see on the screen that this is -19 degree. That was a figure that was determined by the orbit, and I'm happy with that. And then we're going to finish the orbit. Then we're going to fly over to the parking lot so I can land this bird.
All right, that's it. That was the DJI Spark. I created the Dronelink mission. The next video is going to be the mission itself. So please like, subscribe to my channel, click on the bell for notifications so you can see that next video. And hope y'all have a wonderful day, y'all. Peace out.